fall in love with some activity and do it. Nobody ever figures out what life is all about, and it doesn't matter. Explore the world. Nearly everything is really interesting if you go into it deeply enough. Work as hard and as much as you want to on the things you like to do the best. Don't think about what you want to be, but what you want to do. Keep up some kind of minimum with other things so that society doesn't stop you from doing anything at all. Richard Feynman, bitches. Richard Feynman. I think it's a cool quote. This little video is a kind of story on progress through my lifting career and my experience of viewing other people's lifting careers, their training journeys, and everyone starts out well. I've very much rarely seen someone have a poor start to a lifting career, with the caveat of they're in pain before they start. If they're in pain before they start, you probably have to solve that problem at least a little bit first for them to make a lot of progress, just because of inhibition and the psychological factors. It's hard to push yourself if you're in pain. But generally, without any other caveats, people start lifting and they become stronger. That is simple. First 8 to 12 weeks, anyone can kind of add a bit of weight on the bar because the bar is so low. And it's great. It's actually perfect. And that leads to a great relationship with the start of it, and you get success. But then at some point, based on a multitude of factors, you stop making progress. You stop getting stronger, you stop seeing physical results, you stop seeing visual changes, the weights don't move, maybe you have a niggle along the way, and the progress stops. And that is when a step forward into understanding is required. You can progress at something by just doing it initially, without knowing the reasons why you progress or the principles that drive that progression. But that doesn't mean you can progress forever, because just doing the damn thing is probably not sufficient over time to replicate results. For example, I think everyone in the gym thinks they're training hard, and that level of challenge or difficulty at the start is sufficient for everyone to make gains. But you have to progressively improve your ability to work hard. I was discussing this with a client yesterday, and he trained by himself for a while before we started training. And he's phenomenal. Like he bench presses the 50 kilo dumbbells, and he's like 77 kilos. Works a full-time job. Like, it's incredible. He's a weapon, absolute weapon. And he lifted for a few years. We only started training when he was mid-30s. And he would always go in, do his 3 sets of 8 or 3 sets of 10. And of course you start with like whatever, a reasonably light dumbbell as a guy. And he was just working with the 20s, 22 kilos. That was it. And then we started working together in this story of how to progress once you've kind of hit that first plateau, and understanding what it takes. Like, you can see in my sets, I look ridiculous. I literally don't give any shits, like, because I know what it takes to progress. And you have to build your skill, your ability to work hard in the gym. You will get stronger, and everything needs to become more challenging because you are becoming different. You are changing. And I see it in the gym still. The relative challenge is rarely hard enough to drive stimulus. And there's one KPI that I care about with regards to hypertrophy and strength training. And that is, are you getting stronger? Can we add a rep or some weight in the following week when we do the same exercise? And if the answer to that isn't yes, there's a multitude of other factors outside of the gym, but the one that we can control is, are you putting enough into your sets in order so that the following week you can add some weight? That is as honest as it gets with regards to gym training. And that's why you film your sets. That's why you have someone there to judge you, to see, was that a challenging set? Was that really all you've got? And I've been in the weeds of scientific literature. Like I'm also obsessed with getting your principles dialed and really understanding the mechanics, the physiology of what drives adaptation. But all of that comes second to the effort. So that KPI, if you can't add weight on the bar every single week or a rep, you've not done something right in your training last week, or your training's been perfect and you haven't ticked the box of food, sleep, stress, relationships. All of these things accumulate into progress. And like I imagine the first thought is, well, you can't progress forever. That's logical. That's rational. I don't care about that. I'm here to challenge that. I'm here to say, if you're still lifting weights that you were lifting 6 months ago, questions need to be asked. And of course, weight training isn't everything. It's just an aspect of life. But if it's a priority for you and it's something you care about and you want to see progress, you need to have some kind of quantifiable metric over time to see if you're driving results. Now, figuring out how to make progress from a deeper dive into something is one of the most satisfying feelings in the world. Making quantifiable leaps of progression after stagnation is just, it's wicked. Like, it's so good. So good. And it takes that deeper dive to figure out how to make sets harder sometimes. Because different tissues have different leverages, different machines have different resistance profiles. And you need to understand how to set these things up to make it an optimal challenge throughout your reps, throughout your sets over time. You need to understand the nutrition. You need to understand the sleep. This was just a back day and a story about progression over time and a quote from Feynman. You can see how simple my workouts are. This is the entire session. I then ran later in the day, but it's maybe 7 sets and progress was made. Things were tracked. Hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a good day, and I hope you do a deep dive, make some progress.